Good morning, everybody. Wow. How's everybody feeling this morning? Yeah, drinking some coffee. Hopefully, you rested last night and relaxed for today. So, welcome to day 2 of the Summer Research Academy. Typically, I always like to ask on the second day kind of what was a highlight for someone. So I could share my highlight of day 1 for me was actually getting to know a lot of the new students and students I've never worked with before, and kind of learning a little bit about their stories and who they are, what they're studying, and some of the challenges that they're facing, some of the highlights that they are excited for this upcoming school year. So that's always been a highlight for me. And then also the panelists. I always love seeing students that have gone through Exito and then now they're panelists and they're talking about their own experiences. So it just really makes me feel like, I don't know, like we're a part of someone's journey and like we get to see like, the highs and lows and just see all the successes that they've had, not just because of our program, but just because of all their hard work. And now like they're up here talking about their own experiences as researchers. So that was kind of a highlight for me yesterday. Does anybody want to share what a highlight they had yesterday? It could be the keynote speaker, it can be one of the sessions. I'm just very curious. And then Dana.
Hello. So yesterday I got a chance to talk to Ken, one of the panelists yesterday, and he advised me that there is actually someone here at PSU who is currently working on the same research that I've been looking up, Andreas Holz.
Cool.
And so that was kind of awesome. And I last night read most of his articles, and I was really ecstatic that someone was having the same thoughts processes as I had. So that was cool.
That's awesome. Could be a future collaborator with you, right?
Definitely.
Hi. So definitely I'm very impressed about this group. And also I was blown away by Hector Oliveira. It was like really passionate and really, it touched me. I'm very impressed by him. It was like a
That's
highlight. Yeah.
Got one more? Anybody else want to share? Okay. All right, well, we'll go ahead and move on. So just some logistics before I invite Tori up today. If you haven't signed in or got your swag bag, please do so at the front. Faculty or staff who aren't facilitators, we'd love for you to be able to sign up and facilitate. We're short on those. So if you could see May at the check-in, we would need some help there. And just an FYI that during the concurrent sessions today, we don't have the Eagles program today. They'll be here tomorrow. So if you're looking for Eagles, they won't be here today. They'll be here tomorrow for the other concurrent sessions. So, well, I'm excited for day 2. We have a lot of good sessions and looking forward to getting to know more students and interacting with folks. And Tori, you're up.
And again, tall Carlos and short Tori. Okay. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Got to get some energy back into the room. Get ready to have a good, fun, engaging day. Yes. So yesterday we started off with land acknowledgement, right? Because it's important to recognize where we sit and recognize where this land came from and how this land has been stewarded for thousands of years before we sat in these spaces, and giving folks their recognition for that, and then also recognizing that those folks still are here, like recognizing that these are vibrant cultures that are still alive and still attempting to thrive, even under conditions that may not allow them to do such, so that as we do our work going forward, we keep those groups in mind and we can make things better, not only for them, but for all of us in that process, and recognizing that that knowledge that that group has, that they can provide. And again, that land acknowledgement is one step in that direction. the other piece that comes with the land is the labor, right? And how that land gets worked and how we built this country that we are living in today. So I want to take a moment to share a land or a labor acknowledgement that we've been using in a few different equity groups that I'm involved in. We acknowledge that our nation has benefited and profited from the free enslaved labor of Black people, recognize the horrible treatment, harassment, and even death Chinese workers experienced, especially in our region, and remember the work of our Latinx community that has done so much for our country while dealing with racism and often exceptionally poor work conditions. We honor the legacy of the African diaspora and Black life, our Asian and Pacific Islander brothers and sisters, and our Latinx community members, and the knowledge, skills, and human spirit that are still present and that persevere in spite of violence and white supremacy. So, again, the idea is to also recognize all the other work that folks have been doing for many, many, many hundreds of years in order to get us to where we are today. So our next activity, I believe we have Carlos and Becky that are going to be doing a little bit of stretching, setting activity. I left my other sheet that has other stuff.
So we're going to do another grounding activity, get us kind of ready for the day. How many of you like bagels? Bagels. Okay, well, we're going to be doing a bagel activity today. It's not the type of bagel that you're thinking of. I know, it was really bad, and I'm very, very bad humor. So I'm going to hand it over to Becky here to go over some grounding activities for this morning.
Hi, y'all. Earlier this morning, I was telling my colleague May that I was going to talk about polyvagal theory. And she says, bagel theory? And I was like, well, sure. I guess it could also be bagel theory, or maybe there's a bagel theory that we get to make up now. But I did want to talk a little bit about polyvagal theory and our nervous systems. And I also just wanted to say, hello, how are you? Welcome again. Second day. Woo! Yeah, I'm like, currently trying to regulate my nervous system individually within this room of all the individual nervous systems. And that's what we do every day that we're in community. How did people feel about like the shaking exercise yesterday? Like just getting up and doing a little shakeout? You want to do that first? Okay, let's do that. You can also sit if that feels better, if you need to. sit back down and chill out. So part of my work as a research assistant is to do intervention research. And that is where we create, particularly for me, it's mentorship programs, support programs for foster youth who are aging out of care and who would like to pursue post-secondary education. So we're creating a mentorship program for students, and we're creating a set of experiences for them to come to college and to have like a supported experience. So part of that is mental health support. And part of, I think, my journey as a researcher and as a curious person is to understand my own mental health as well and struggles with that. And I've gotten really nerdy about polyvagal theory. Some of you might know what that is. And I also love social workers because I work in social work. So I'm reading a book right now about polyvagal theory and about our nervous systems. And I would just like to share just some tidbits. And then there's a short activity that we can do before we move on to exploring our research questions. So I was curious to learn that the story of the nervous system. So about 500 million years ago, well, not just mammals, but basically prehistoric fish, the branch of the parasympathetic nervous system known as the dorsal vagal system was born. And that is akin to a turtle coming up into its shell. So it's sort of the freeze aspect of our nervous system. And then about 400 million years ago, the sympathetic nervous system was created, and that created the fight or flight experience. And then around 200 million years ago, another branch of the parasympathetic nervous system came into being, and this is actually unique to mammals, which is very interesting. It is the system that allows us to feel safe, to connect, and to communicate with one another. So it's just a quick exercise for the social engagement system. I'm going to read a little bit more of this. So our biology evolved to include a system known as the social engagement system. So when the ventral vagal building block was added, 5 circuits came into connection in our brainstem, and the human social engagement system came to life. So the ventral vagal pathway starts with the heart, joined with our nerves that control our eyes, our ears, and our voice, and the way that we move our head. So fascinating. And that makes the social engagement system a biological face-heart connection. Cool. So to locate your social engagement system, you can start by placing your hand at the base of your skull where your brainstem meets your spinal cord. So that's the start of it. Now place one hand on the side of your face and then another on your heart. So you have to move, yeah. You're like, I don't have 3 hands. I know, I read it like that too. I was like, interesting. So follow this pathway. So from your brainstem to your face to your heart. So it is through this face-heart connection that we listen for sounds of welcome. We look for friendly faces, and we tilt our head in search of safety from one another. These micro movements through our eyes, our ears, our voice, and our head movements are the social engagement system that broadcasts an invitation for connection. And I just thought that was really an apt, thing to be reading this morning. I knew I was going to do something up here, and I didn't know what it was going to be. But I was like, I have this really cool polyvagal book. And just to acknowledge that our social connection is so important, our understanding of how we're feeling internally in our body can affect how we connect with others, and that a smile, a head tilt, any type of visual contact and connection with people is such a great invitation for saying, I'm feeling good. How are you? I hope you're feeling good. Let's have this connection here, even if you don't speak with one another. So I hope that was interesting to you. This book is Polyvagal Theory by Deb Dana. She's a licensed clinical social worker and works with Stephen, I think it's Porges, PhD. If you're interested, I'll have the book up at the check-in table. But yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to share that with y'all. Thank you.
Thanks, Becky. I always love the grounding activities that you come up with. And full disclosure, Dr. Crespo said, if you're going to fail, fail with gusto. I really heard bagel theory. So I went with it, but I was totally wrong. It wasn't bagel theory. So next up, we have a great session, which is exploring and developing research interests. So I'm going to invite Tori and Alyssa up here to transition us into that session.
Okay, good morning again. Hi. So just like yesterday, I think we hit a point where we were kind of doing some facility